Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 2 p.m.
So that's how it's going.
Okay, roll call. We're all here, super easy. Excused, but I was going to call anyway.
You do need to call and people need to verbally.
Okay, Teresa. Rhonda. Present. Iris.
Yes, here.
Susan.
Here.
Michelle. Here. Randy. Here. I'm here. Jenny. Here. And Scott. Okay. He is excused. Okay, we also are attended by Angela, Eric, and Britt. And Sean is not here. Sean just walked in.
Sean just walked right there.
Sean! He appeared just
She can say something mean.
We already got the cops call on us once tonight, so that's actually true.
Okay, are there any corrections or comments on the June 18th minutes?
Just like some grammar.
I thought there was some grammar too.
I'm trying to think.
It was,
Okay, hold on. It doesn't like consider implementing.
I think that was it. Was that it, Randy? Something like that?
There's two things, but I mean,
Consider implementing.
I think just consider is used twice in that sentence, or, yeah, that's what it doesn't like it.
It doesn't like what?
May consider developing a theme and consider implementing, it probably doesn't like it being used twice.
Okay,
So this sentence needs to be rewritten then, okay?
well, it must be okay, because I can't.
Okay. Everything's standing up.
Number 5.
Pretty rough, it doesn't look pretty rough.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, shock art next year and consider implementing a rule prohibiting resubmission.
Didn't catch that. Okay?
Okay. All right, any other corrections? Okay,
How about the pretty rough part?
Yeah,
No,
it doesn't look pretty rough. It's either rough or not. Pretty rough.
Very rough.
That's, it's in pretty rough.
Fairly rough?
Fairly rough? How about
just rough is fine, because rough means not
Rough
horrible.
means bad.
I mean,
Pretty
Michelle
rough
is in
means
rough
not
shape,
as
yeah?
bad.
It's in rough shape.
There's a
Okay.
difference.
Okay, there is a difference. Well, what's our intention to say here?
There's graffiti on the untitled mural near Hover, and it's in rough shape.
Okay. Does that fit what you wanted to say, Teresa? You
Yeah, and
wanted
it's
to look at
filthy.
it,
I
right?
went through it last
And
It's
filthy.
It needs a good power wash. It's scary.
Well, I think that's might be part of the problem, is if we power wash it, or when they do to take graffiti off, it's just taking it off.
But even the lights and the top, I mean, it's scary, like, you could do Halloween down there and wouldn't have to do anything.
Maybe on looks better should be, is improved or something?
Yeah, but as you go to the
Okay,
back.
hold on, so it's in rough shape and filthy, that is good sentence? Okay, and then what's next now?
Okay, bugling elk
Looks better.
has improved or something? Or is that, does this fit what we want to say? Looks better.
Yeah, it does look better.
Okay, all right.
Longmont 155.
Okay.
Good? Do we feel like we want to table these minutes and re-review and bring them back next month, or are we good as amended?
As a matter.
Good as an.
Yeah, good as good.
All right, who's the motion?
We have a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Randy motions to approve the minutes as an.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Any nays? Any abstentions? We have one abstention. So that's 7 and 1, right? I think that's right.
I thought 8.
8 and 1, okay. All right, yeah, because there's 10 of us too. Okay. Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to tonight's agenda?
I am not.
We have no public invited to be heard. Okay.
We have one person in the room who is not a commissioner.
Oh,
Recording for OPM.
Yeah. Good, okay. Next item, number 6, the Kim Barton mural update.
Did we store or put any of the updated photos on the project? I don't know that we do. I don't have any pictures for you. Let's look at great. Nope.
It's close
Field
enough.
trip outside.
It's close enough. We can go there now.
It's close enough.
but we have taken an obscene amount of photos, which is great. I don't think we ever got time lapse. That never worked out with LPM, which is a little too bad, but that's okay. Okay.
Okay, so we will have a celebration on Friday next week, when in theory it'll be cooler, from 5 to 6:30. And there will be comments at 6 p.m. So we would like to ask for volunteers for setup. What time do you need to get there for setup?
A half hour before, like 4:30,
Okay. So 4:30
if
setup
anybody
time.
is interested. Does anybody have any interest in, or ideas about food that doesn't make a lot of waste? Okay. What about like fruit skewers?
That'd be good too.
Anything cold?
Yeah.
I was thinking like colorful popsicles.
Yeah,
Colorful.
that would be
A fruit center, very colorful. You get that truck that does those.
Maybe. Okay.
What are we calling the event?
Oh, it's we're gonna call it a celebration. And we'll send invitation. We're gonna put a little postcard together, and then we have a form for people to like RSVP. We'll have a QR code and a bit.ly link tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So that should all come out tomorrow and hit social media tomorrow. LDDA would also like to dedicate the piece during Arts Week with a lot of other murals, so we're gonna do it twice.
Which day's the first one?
Next Friday, the 24th,
Week from tomorrow.
because it will be completed by the end of this weekend.
That's amazing.
It is.
It's so
It is
beautiful.
Cool. And is anybody gonna be around over the weekend, just once he says that he is done, to just go and take a walk? And if anything looks unfinished, he and I walked yesterday, and a lot of the detail pieces were still undone, particularly the hot air balloons on the west side. So it should be done, yeah,
Wow. I can do it.
okay.
And then I'll get with you and tell you.
Really, we don't have a like one-to-one comparison, but it's just like, does anything look wrong? Does it look unfinished? Does it look like there's a shadow and there should be more detail? He's extremely thorough, but we just need to take a look at it.
I'd like to clear your junk shots off.
Okay, great. So Randy, Teresa, I could text you over the weekend?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Awesome.
I can't set up, I want to come to the dedication, but I can't set up at 4:30 because I'll be working until
Okay.
5:15.
Cool, thanks, Iris.
I might be able to.
Okay.
I'd be able to. Should I go to
So we'll just meet at the plaza out between the Civic Center and the library under the trees as soon as you can be there. And then we'll have comments at 6 and end at 6:30.
So our comments will be from that area.
I think we're gonna stand under the trees over here and look at it from afar.
That's
I like
nice.
that. I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
And I mean, if other people, if they want to go walk around with him after comments are done and go up close, fine, but.
I'll see if I can get the mayor to come, I won't be able to make it.
Okay. Yeah,
She would
you'll be
love to
receiving
come
an
if she can.
invitation.
So she would love to do that, I just have a conflict.
Yeah. Well, that works. Makes sense.
That corner, like, if you were to be right up next to the garage, like where the entrance to the parking is pretty busy, I think.
Yeah. That's true. And they did add, I don't know if anybody has seen it, but they did add the mirror on the ramp so you can see the cars coming up. And it was one of those things, they knew that it was gonna have to go there, right? So why didn't they say something? But it's
They just pop it
fine.
right on the mural.
And 2 signs.
That's,
That's wrong.
Safety first. I guess.
I guess it's better than safety's third.
I took a picture with me in the mural and the mirror and sent it to my kids, and I was like, "What's wrong with this photo?" And they did not get my joke. And they're like, "Well, you look like an idiot in that mirror." I'm like,
Oh, God. Yeah.
"It's the mirror."
What's wrong with you? You're not getting your Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
On a cool picture, Mom.
We do have teenagers.
They didn't know, but they really like. I was like, "Wow, that was just kind of cool."
Okay, any other comments on the Kimbar mural?
And after this, if we want to go walk over there, we can. Okay.
Okay, all right, now the big item of the night.
Big item of the night. Okay, so we're probably gonna scream through a lot of this just because most everyone has participated in this exercise fairly recently. That said, our Fun with Flags project is different than every other project ever. So it's just gonna be a little bit different. Did everybody get a copy of the handbook? Okay, this is a new resource, believe it or not, that I made for the Kimbar project. And I was really, really glad that I made it before because I had something to point at. Oh, can I steal one? And then anybody needs to share from it. Okay, I'm really glad that I had this resource created before the Kimbar project. So when some of the questions came up about how decisions were made and how selection panelists were trained, I was able to hand it over and say, nice, there it is. So, but again, we're going to scream through a lot of this because most of it are things that you have done before fairly recently, but if you need me to slow down at any moment, just let me know, okay? So the housekeeping, this is what we're going to do real quick, fairly quick. The rules of the road of selection panel business. It is different than Art on the Move. So as you're thinking about your selection panel hat, Art on the Move is very different than this. We're really talking about more of those RFQs, like the mural project, some of these bigger ones. We're going to talk about the RFQ briefly. We're going to look at your login. We're going to look at online scoring and how to, and then the scoring matrix. Y'all, I have spent far too much time trying to create a rubric that makes sense to me, and I need your help. You're going to have to help inform how we are making the decisions that we're making because this is just a different animal. So we're going to look at it together and talk about questions in the next steps, okay? If you have a computer, we can go through the logging in together because I think that sometimes that's the hardest part of all of this. So on the sake of keeping it on the up and up for the housekeeping, always and never to forget that open meetings, open records is a real deal. When you are making notes about your scores, your rubric, however you are keeping track of it, be mindful and be intentional because if an Open Records Act Open Records request came through of us handing over how we're making these decisions, I will be contacting each one of you to hand your notebook or your file or your whatever over. So just be very thoughtful about how you're doing that. We will be providing you a scorecard Excel spreadsheet. We'll be handing you the resources that at least we built that make sense to us, but that might not make sense to you. Okay, we're going to talk about the role of a selection panelist, and then we'll go through this handy-dandy handbook, specifically the expectations, conflict of interest, and bias, because bias is real. Okay. Your role as a selection panelist is to participate in the process with an unbiased and open mind, with a positive attitude. I always say it every single time. It's really, really easy to look at something and say, oh my God, I hate that. That's the worst thing I've ever seen. If it doesn't fit the project, simply, this doesn't fit, doesn't work for me, doesn't fit the criteria, constructive criticism is great. If we do get into kind of one-on-one this versus that, it might get a little bit more detailed, but really we focus on the positive as much as possible. Ask clarifications if anything part of this process is unclear for you, or if you have a question, chances are your neighbor does too. Please review all your provided materials in the reasonable amount of time. I think I'm looking at 3 weeks for review of this process. That should be more than plenty, unless anybody's going away on a 3-week vacation, and then just let me know and we can add time in. But I think for everyone it should cover anytime that you're out and about. Of course, maintaining a personal responsibility of your materials. You may go home at night and your partner wants to look through all of your materials, and then you guys talk about it. And the unfortunate part about that is your partner hasn't sat through these meetings. Your partner hasn't heard the person across the table from you and their opinion. So there's pieces of the conversation and pieces of the criticism and constructive process that person doesn't have that you do, and then that creates a bias, and so we want to avoid that as much as possible. Again, open records is real, so if they want to.
Should we think of this more like an executive session when you're doing that? And some of you probably not, maybe you've done it in some other capacity, but with the city, when we have open executive sessions, you know, it's, we have one person that does the speaking, if there's any sort of speaking role to the community that's required. But in that capacity, you're not even supposed to mention it to your significant other and that sort of thing. And so it's sometimes I'll when something finally comes out, my wife's looking at me like, what the hell happened here? Well, it's a little long story. So, you know, that sort of thing, and that you kind of got to keep to yourself. So I don't know how it's just kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
It's kind of like jury duty.
Yeah.
But,
It is kind of like that.
Yeah, it sounds.
right, and I mean, the other piece of this is an open meeting, unlike an executive session. So if someone were very, very interested, they are absolutely welcome to sit in to watch the recording. That's all real too. So yeah, it's that quasi weird.
Yeah, quasi judicial, I think.
Yeah, ish, right? Yeah, so that's exactly it. Making every effort to attend all those meetings on time that are scheduled in advance. Our big one, and it's in your packet, is the 22nd of August, which we decided on last time. I do have the museum reserved. We do have a hard stop at 1, and we will actually be shoeing. Well, I'll get help with the shoeing because there's a concert that happens after, so it's great because we will be shoeing. You'll be using the selection rubric to guide a fair and balanced and equitable decision in your decision making. Constructive criticism and comparison with an asterisk, because there's times to compare and times not to compare, for your preference, and then always consider the community feedback in your decision making. And have fun, because this is fun. Flags is going to be a little bit tougher than some other things. Any questions about your responsibility? Okay. The call for entry is our typical-ish RFQ process where we're asking call for participants, but all we have asked them to do is answer a couple of very brief statements, and we have asked them to provide 3 visualizations of an idea. And so that could be, if they are a graphic designer, you might get some of their graphic design. If they are a kid and they wanted to take some construction paper and cut it up for you, that's what you're gonna get, and it's gonna be all over the place. So the 3 visual components is just to demonstrate taking an idea and turning it into something visual, not necessarily a flag design. And we will be reviewing everything through the online portal. I do have 2 applications, or rather submissions thus far, that have not been able to navigate this. And I don't know if I'm either going to be able to put it in manually myself. The company says that they want to connect with the applicant directly to try and help them navigate it, but that might upset some of them. So asterisk next to that one too. You might get a couple of paper ones, and we're just gonna have to do that because this is a very different beast. All right, so if you have a computer, this is going to be in a bit, we're gonna go through this, but this is going to be the web address. If you have trouble, when you go to callforentry.org, chances are you've gotten to the login place that is the artist, not the admin. You are an admin. Your username is going to be your last name dot first initial, and your password is going to be flags 2026 because it's not going to be complicated. So when we go through this process, and we will all together, first you're going to put in your username, then you're going to put in your password, and if it's been a while, it might force you to do this multi-factor authentication again. Please choose email so it can initially send you a recovery code, which then it's 50 characters long, and then just send it to me and I keep track of them. But once you go through this first initial process of doom, then it's going to do a multi-factor authentication set up to your email. And then after that, you can remember this device, and I'm pretty sure, as long as you haven't done your cache of your cookies, that it'll remember it for a good amount of time. So that's going to be the first section of us logging in. So I figure we'll do that in just a second. So the next part that I wanted to talk about before we get too much further, we talked about expectations, we talked about your role as reviewers. I want to talk about bias. Because I think in this project particularly, its bias is going to be really important to recognize and to know what to do when certain kinds of bias come up. It is a local project. There's a number, 5 or 6 different bias that I wrote down for you and gave examples. The first and foremost is going to be familiarity bias. We have asked for people's names. We've asked who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Why are you interested in this project? And in this moment, we are not making comparisons from one to the next. In this moment, we are going to use the rubric to scale appropriately based upon their answers. So when you recognize that person and you're like, oh my gosh, that person does graphic design for my buddy and they're so amazing, you have to answer the rubric based upon the narrative that is in front of you, the visuals that are in front of you, and the rubric as assigned. It's going to be a challenge to separate yourself from someone that might be your neighbor. The other piece that I think is important is number 3, which is confirmation bias. All of us have an idea in our mind of what this flag should probably look like. We probably have an idea in our mind of what colors should be used because that's what we think it should be, right? And so then when you're scoring and you're looking at the visualizations, you're like, oh my gosh, that person uses the color palette. That means a lot to me. That person uses hot pink. That hot pink is my favorite color. I love that color. And you gravitate towards the things that are matching up with what you think that this project should be. And you have got to try and again, look at the rubric and where does it fall in success that way. Same goes for similarly of an affinity bias. So an affinity bias is like people who share similar thoughts and feelings about you, maybe not necessarily color, but visual imagery, or you love landscapes, right? And you feel that landscape should be, and you see a landscape painter, and that is what gravitates you towards their artwork, something like that. Prestige bias, all of a sudden Banksy rolls in and you're like, I love that work, it's so great. But is Banksy like the answer of Banksy and the, you know, what he says on his flag design and then his visuals, like that, is that really successful for the project that we're talking about, or is it because it's Banksy? And then there's implicit cultural bias, which I don't think, it's talking about cultural perspectives and shaping perception, which I don't think will be so relevant here. But good. So there's examples on here, and then there's also those strategies for mitigating your bias. So pausing and reflecting, of course, focusing on your criteria, which is the rubric, acknowledging your assumptions, which I think is a really hard piece to be very introspective. The other piece about that is discussing with fellow reviewers inside the meetings. If you find yourself going through this process of reviewing and you're finding that you're having a hard time questioning your own assumptions, but you really need to talk to somebody, you know, you can maybe call one other person, but not be specific about the application you're talking about, or just call me. We're gonna have to kind of keep it like general, but having a conversation with somebody will sometimes help rule out some of that bias. And then the number one way to rule out bias is being consistent. I think with the Kimbark mural, there was a couple of people that said, you know, go through 10 first, do some scoring, and see, is your scoring consistent? Or all of a sudden by like number 5, you're starting to feel out what success actually looks like, then go back and score 1, or like finish and then go back again and start 1 through 5 and revisit your scores. Is that still maintaining and holding true? Does all of that make sense? Okay.
Totally, really well done.
Okay, thank you. So being aware of bias will just help us mitigate them. Reviewing online tutorials. So I'm going to do this training because we do have a couple of people outside of this group that are going to be joining the selection panel and on the 22nd, so I'm going to be turning this into a video, so you'll have that. There are also trainings for Cafe online that you are welcome to use. If you have any questions about the portal specifically, come to me first, because chances are if you send a help ticket through the portal, they're just going to forward it to me anyway. So most of the time, it's something that I can problem solve for you. And then at the bottom, again, is your login information with your user and password. Number one problem with user and password is I fat fingered it and put the wrong thing in, but I fixed everybody. So when we go through this right now, chances are it's going to work. You're not going to be able to pull the drop down quite yet because the call is still open and we're not in active jury mode. Okay, that was a lot.
So
Pretty fast? Yeah.
Can we get on right now?
Yeah, so I thought that we could,
With this password right here, we can get on?
should be flags
Where are
2026.
you seeing that?
So,
Last page is
Does this work on the phone? I've
Yeah,
got 2
it-
computers and either one can log in today.
today it cannot.
No, okay.
It might be because your password is last password. I
Yeah.
just
Oh,
fixed
no,
your
I can't
password.
get on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
the new
password. Wi-Fi password changed.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
it's on the
what I'm
wall
using.
there.
That's
Okay,
one.
so I just went through this whole thing too. If you try to log in from up here where the little things are, mine goes through that way, but it doesn't go through the other way, so give that a try.
Okay.
I can say that for the scoring, that phones and tablets really do not work very well.
Scott, if you can't get on, you can get on my hotspot.
Let's try this again.
Okay. So once you've gone through that whole authentication business, that business, it should take you straight to the MFA code bits.
I've tried it.
Oh, I might not have you.
Oh, so
Give me a minute.
say.
Everybody except for.
This is what, in the right spot.
Well, this is what you're missing right there.
It's a plus.
By the way, you can't get on because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
At least you'll know you get it.
Yes, that's true.
Oh, it doesn't.
There's always things like this that they can buy.
I myself can't even get in there. I know, right? This is why we all get to suffer together in the login land.
You can't get on either?
Because of the Wi-Fi?
No, it just says it, well, it doesn't like my username and password.
Okay, no, it's your password, you gotta change the password to this one.
Yeah, no,
You know that part?
yeah.
It didn't work.
So
Okay, hold on,
mine,
hold on.
mine worked, I got on with that
Yeah,
password.
All right, then let's just.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah, I know.
I got through to the
The MFA code.
MFA code and then I put it in and then it says.
Same here.
Yeah.
That's what I
It
was.
says what?
And then it says authentication failure for entered user, once you get the MFA
That's what
code.
was on.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what we should
All
say.
right,
that's
let
never
me
happened.
change
Okay.
a bunch of settings. Me,
Hold on, everybody,
I got it.
be patient.
You got in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
you did.
I'm in.
I'm in.
And I'm in too.
I'm in.
We're in.
What?
This side
Cool
of the room
kids,
is
I swear.
ran.
That's
I'm just bouncing into that.
Wish you could.
Yeah, mine was slow to connect.
What's wrong with you? You've got the wrong shoes on.
It's real nice over here.
More wonky than it used to be.
Oh, no.
It just updated. So.
Yeah.
So
the
if you go to
new,
where it says this jury is not.
password,
Yeah.
it seems like it just takes longer and more people try it multiple times sometimes.
Some kind of like security.
Trying to make it more secure.
Protocol they
I'm
put in or
guessing, yeah, that's
something.
why I increased it because
All right, you guys gotta see the guts. Who's having problems? Teresa? Rhonda?
Did you do a lowercase for me? Because I'm doing an uppercase. If you look at the login, it looks like an
It
uppercase.
shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
but let's just,
Let me try lowercase, see if I get in.
okay. Okay.
For some weird
Oh,
reason,
I'm in.
it's bouncing.
I'm
You're
in
in?
lowercase.
Yeah, I think
not
mine was
uppercase.
lowercase too.
So what's
Ooh.
happening with
Which
me
lowercase?
is for
Nice.
some reason, it continues to default to my, when I was on the panel for Fox Hill.
Right,
Yeah, it keeps defaulting to that one.
right, so you
which
have
is-
to go in
It might
and
have to be weird.
and erase that password and put in
I
a
still
new
don't have
password.
internet.
Right, but it's like defaulting, because then it was like Beaupre R rather than R Beaupre.
Correct. Well, so you have two different jurors.
And then there was the one that we just recently did, didn't we? We just did.
Yeah,
Do
we
you have
just
Art
did-
on the move?
The art of-
Yeah.
Who else is having problems? Sean McCoy's not even in here. I get, should we
Yeah, for
let him
some
join
reason.
us?
gets
That's
it.
it.
Will you join us? All right.
Yeah, this is just odd.
It knows me, it knows that I had a
Right.
password.
It remembers all this stuff that's no longer useful. That's what I'm.
Are you saying Razor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have your old one, if you want me to.
No, there's somebody, yeah,
There's you.
yeah,
You're deactivated.
yeah.
Aw.
My dad.
Your dad had two.
Yeah,
All right, Mr.
too
McCoy.
funny.
And you can't put a capital C after the little c.
But I keep,
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer, I keep putting in the
You
right
misspelled your
name and
Yeah, you want-
the
oh,
new
there you
name and
go.
the new
Nice.
I don't know though.
password, and for some reason it just will
Alright.
default.
That's weird.
It's very weird.
That's so weird
it's
for the
fussy.
username, yeah.
It's just,
But the cafe, I have to tell you all, I mean, we all know this, but it is temperamental. But the login part is the worst.
It's the worst.
That's the
I've
hardest
never
part.
had, I mean, I was kind of all cocky, like, I'm not gonna have any problem.
You did get it.
Okay, somebody else-
Seriously, I was like, I don't know why I need this.
Who else is still locked out? Anybody? You just can't internet.
Yeah, I hope no internet.
Okay, do you want to use my hotspot?
Or you can use mine, either one.
Here, I got you.
Where do I find that?
Where do I?
Hey,
Yeah.
There's my password. It's HAL9000. Yes, that is from 2001. So
I saw that when you did the first time.
Did you? How was it?
It was really fun, especially because
oh,
the
that's
audience
quite
was
a
very
password.
passionate. Oh, when the bone flies like across the screen, somebody was like, "What a shot!" and just like there, and we all laughed.
I haven't seen it in a million.
Oh, I don't need that. So
Oh,
you
but it
will-
was so
Okay.
painful even at the time.
So everybody's good, right?
And I'm good.
Get out. You're not still?
Let's see.
I can reactivate your old one. Do you want me to do that? I'm here.
It just got me in.
It did.
You just
It hurt.
I just need to go correct it. You know, oddly, in
It
other
says
places.
this jury is not in progress.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
okay,
correct.
I'm in.
that's the
Okay,
page you want.
so that's correct. This jury is not in progress, which that is true. So we're gonna look at, what juries look like when they aren't.
I'm in the internet.
You're in the internet, okay.
Done.
Like this
Oh,
one.
get it, it's
One
good.
step,
Yeah.
one step.
Okay, I'm the slow member of the committee
All
tonight.
right.
This one.
Hey, it hasn't been too long since you've gone through this one exercise, but
Right.
I think it's gonna be just really important for us just to look at it. While we're waiting, so one of the things that wasn't done terribly well for the Kimbark mural was how we were scoring. So I think this time around, I went with 4 different criterion, each with a high score of 5 for a total of 20. And so this time around, the score will be between 1 and 20. Obviously, low will be a 4 because we can't score zeros. Okay? So
So we're going between 4 and 20?
hold on, I'll show you.
1, or 5.
Right.
Oh,
So.
this is the computer trying to autofill.
Okay.
Um,
So this is an example you'll recall from our on the move, right? But just pretend that this is what somebody submitted as a flag for flags. Which again, reminding us that it should be probably 2-dimensional. I guess it could be 3-dimensional. Just visuals of somebody who's taking ideas and putting them into some sort of visual representation. So when you log in, it will take you here. You'll pull this guy down, and this official Longmont flag call for participants is going to be in the black and is able for you to select. So you would select it, and then the next bit is going to be, it'll have the number of unscored, which at this point will be likely in the 30s, and a total that will be in the 30s. If you come into this process and you do a couple and then you leave, once you have saved your score, when you come back the next time, the number you have scored out of the 30-some applicants will be here and scored. Then unscored will be the ones that you haven't done yet, and the total will remain the same. Does that make sense? So you have to choose one of your scorecard preferences. I highly suggest that you use the last one, which is a slideshow scorecard. So you click which one you want to do, and then you click unscored, and you have to have pop-ups enabled on your computer. This is sometimes why a tablet is highly unsuccessful, and so is a phone. So the piece will pop up. The person who has submitted has the opportunity to add something about what their image is, and someone might be real smart and giving a little bit of a description of what it is that they're talking about, how big it is, what media they used. But we, of course, are talking to participants, not necessarily professional artists, so this could be a lot of different things. Take it for what it is, right? Then there's an X at the top if you want to get out of that, and then you just use the big arrows to the right and to the left to go backwards and forwards between the images. There will be a minimum of 3, at most 6, and then once it is completed, you will have here a score of between 1 and 20, but with 4 criteria, and you have to score it at least at 1. Really, it'll be between 4 and 20. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the comments and feedback is really a great place for you to make notes. This is not something that your peers are going to see. It is not something the artist is going to see. It is something that you can see, something I can see. But other than that, it's really helpful place to jot notes. In our example for this project, instead of artist ID, it is going to have a name, it's going to have a last name, and I'm going to order them alphabetically for ease, because it just doesn't matter if they're, unless.
Do you have to do it that way?
No, I can do, if we feel strongly that I mix them up.
And not have the last name?
No.
We have to say, and have their names posted.
Okay, because I thought maybe with your point about bias, if you had just a number like this, then you.
Well, usually we're blind, so will you remind us why we have to see the name?
Because in the community feedback, it was, who are you, what about you, why is this important to you? So we've asked who they are, why they're connected to the community. We've asked their age. If they include their age, they include, all kinds of stuff.
What if, okay, I have somebody, my son-in-law is a graphic artist, and he talked about submitting something. And
Yeah.
That's why I was hoping that we could go with the number, because then it would not put me in the situation of conflict of interest.
Easy answer. You recuse yourself from that application and that application alone.
Okay.
And in fact, conflict of interest, which is in your handy-dandy packet, says exactly that. If you run into anybody, I think what is the blanket rule for conflict of interest? Love, money, blood. If you're related to them, if you will financially be impacted in one way or the other, or you love somebody so much that you can just not help yourself from being biased, easy. You just recuse yourself simply from that application alone, because we're working off of the law of averages.
Okay.
So we will just average the scores without you. Yep. Good question. But he should submit,
Oh,
right?
he is,
Yeah.
I believe he is, he's quite accomplished, so.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I have a quick question.
yeah,
Since you know that I can't be at the big meeting.
yeah.
Do I still go through the process up until then?
I think so. I know that you probably weren't able to attend the meeting or the beginning as well. Does the group feel strongly one way or the other? And going through the exercise, and if we had to take out your scores, we could.
Right.
You're saying on the 22nd?
2nd of August. Yep.
So I'll at least be in at the beginning
Yep.
to help narrow it down, but
Yep.
not at the very final part. Okay. And
Does anybody
I would
have
like to be.
strong feelings any way? Yeah, I think just go through the first exercise, okay? Great. And we have a lot of people in the selection panel, so math will work out. Okay, so then, once you have gone through your rubric, which I printed for you and it's so small, it's not even cool, so I turned them into slides and we're gonna go through it together, but I think we'll cross this bridge when we get there. So you'll have looked at your rubric, you'll have made your decisions on your rubric of 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, 5 points, ending up to 20. You score your score, and then you write your notes, whatever you want to remind yourself of, and then the key is save my score. Click on save my score, and it will move you to the next application. If you wanted to go through and you did not want to score and you just wanted to keep going, you can then just click this up to go to application number 2, and you go, and then it'll go to the next one. Okay? If you go through the process, say you do the exercise of the first 10, and you say, oh my gosh, like, my scoring's kind of been all over the place, I see the way of consistency, I want to change my score, easy enough, you come back into the scored applications here, right? And erase my score, and then you can change it and save my score. And it'll move on. Okay? So after you have scored all of them, if you wanted to flip back through without seeing all the big bad images of doom, you can choose thumbnail scorecard, and that will just take you straight here. You can click on any single one, it then takes you to that slideshow, but then it gets you stuck into it before it takes you back to here. Pretty slick. Okay, any questions about scorecards?
So I do,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
You're saying a score of 4 through 20.
Yeah.
But we have a scorecard for each criteria, the rubric aspect, and that's how we got to 20. So
Correct.
we say there's, this one's a 3 and a 4, and the next question that we're looking at is a 5.
Yep.
Okay, and so, then depending on how many items on the rubric you have,
Yep.
then adding those up, and that's the score you're putting on.
Correct, and I'm going to email you all of this, and I will probably even, instead of application number, it's going to say, if we want to do it alphabetically or however, I'm gonna autofill this in, and I'm gonna say average total, 1 or 4 through 20, and then these are the rubric questions. These are not the rubric questions right now, but these will be the flag rubric questions, and I'll email this to you, and if it's helpful for you to print this out, to get you through.
What if someone doesn't
Adding.
have, what if someone does not have Excel? Is that,
I can turn it into a PDF and print it for you.
But not Google?
I can turn it into Google. I can turn it into Google. We're not allowed to use Google, are we?
I mean, not preferred, but I don't think it's as bad as Dropbox.
Dropbox. Okay.
Dropbox.
We're not allowed to do Dropbox. Sometimes we're in internet jail.
I just want to make sure that, some folks just don't.
Yeah.
And that's why Google was so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open source. Yeah, absolutely. I skipped out. So how do we feel about scorecards? I'll give you a paper so you can add up from your rubric 5, 3, 7, not 7, 2, 1, and then add them up and then add to 20. Okay. Okay.
We have almost from the scorecard pages, we have to manually enter that and then populate on the score.
Yes.
Okay, so, all right, so the adding up of.
You'll have to do yourself or use a calculator or fingers and toes. And if fingers and toes isn't working for you, hopefully this is Well, because what we did for the Kimbark mural, I think I had it where they were all 7s, and then I had it on a scale of 7, and then made them average it, and it was not fun math. So this is easier.
Okay.
Trust me, this is, okay. Okay, well then, let's talk about rubric. Y'all, I just, I work so hard. It's a hard one. Okay, so, those are
Jeff
nice.
says, no.
No, we don't want to. Okay. And again, I printed it out and I was fighting with Excel today. So it came out teeny tiny. So, I should say one more thing, actually. The other thing, I'm sorry, that will be on the rubric, I close that out. It's gonna be different. Is that the narrative and the questions are gonna be visible to you. Because you're going to have to score based on those 2 questions that we asked. Those 2 questions being,
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, yeah, those are the questions. Yes! Tell us about yourself and what this project means to you. And how will you approach designing a new Longmont flag, incorporating community feedback and the 5 principles of flag design? So those 2 narrative questions are a part of the submission process, right? And all these people are all coming from very, very, very different backgrounds. So our goal, which, keep it up. Okay, so when we talked, how do I zoom out?
Oh, bottom right, Angela, just do the drag. I know Excel doesn't let you do the shortcut.
Why?
I don't know.
Because Google Sheets is easier, that's why. So when we put into the call for participants that we drafted, the 2 major pieces is that our project is a meaningful opportunity for community members to help create a symbol that reflects who we are today and our shared vision for the future. That came from City Council, not in those exact words. And then our project goals are that the selected designer will create a distinctive flag that uses symbolism, color, and a strong flag design principles to reflect community feedback, shared values, and aspirations for the future. So when we're looking holistically at the narrative piece of it, the who you are and why this is meaningful to you, and the examples that you bring, it's to serve those goals. Okay. So I think we just start at number 1, and I'm ready to take a boatload of notes, but what I would like out of this exercise is for us collectively to determine what these big bad questions, a criterion, are, and then this is totally ChatGPT, absolutely 100%. I read through them. I actually think that these ChatGPT answer what I took a start at for criterion, but I think as long as we can figure out and agree on the criterion altogether, then the kind of the weight should be able to shake itself out, right? Okay, so maybe we just go around.
What is the question on the table right this minute?
So the first question on the table is of our 4 criterion, right? First one, we need to have some way of scoring the first question that we ask them, which is tell us about yourself and what this project means to you. The second question, or the second criterion, is going to be some way of scoring how thoughtful, I said how thoughtful and thorough, for about the approach.
Community feedback.
Yep, and then we'll cover 3.
How do you not get affinity bias with this a little bit? I mean, it's kind of almost impossible.
This is the hardest one we've ever had in terms of affinity bias.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with Art on the Move, we can look at it and go,
Yeah, I mean.
it just doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah. But it's the two-dimensional aspect of a flag that, and the fact that how somebody responds here, it could be kind of, I don't know, you could be looking for similarities.
This is a tough one.
Glad you guys trusted us with it though. We can do it.
We can do it.
I
We can.
suggested you personally.
No, yeah, it's,
Okay, so, is the question on the table right this minute?
yeah, how, so
question on the table
the
is,
what
how are we gonna
criterion?
figure out if we would rate highly, tell us about yourself and what the project means to you? That's the first question, right?
Yep. Knowing that our goal is that someone, if, you know, every single person received our call for participation, they understand the goal, they understand that it's about ourselves and the shared vision of the future. So yeah, how impactful that they answer this question?
You know, the only thing.
So let's,
Yeah, take your time.
the criteria.
Yeah, no, we gotta give some, well, yes, maybe, but we've gotta give some, it's gotta hit some qualitative thing, right?
I can't go there.
I think one of the challenges of this particular one is that it has two aspects to it.
Right.
And so it's almost like, did they answer both of them really well?
Yeah.
Did they answer one of them really well? Did they answer, both of them poor?
Yeah.
That seems to be the direction it feels like it's going.
Can you bring
I
it
think
into?
the most important part of it though is what does this project mean to you versus telling us about yourself? Like,
I agree.
we're not supposed to care.
Yeah, because that's the part where
Right,
we
we
shouldn't
wanna-
be biased by,
Okay.
right?
That's true, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So, the last criterion was just, instead of breaking it up, do we just look at it holistically? The big picture. Do you think that between the submissions that they gave as their visuals, between their answer about why it's important to them, and also how they're gonna approach it, when we just look at the big old smush package, and we just rate on the big smushy package, rather than breaking up into individual components?
Well, let's go back to the first one real quick and
That
just
to me
think this
seems a
out.
little like too much in one
Okay.
at first.
Yep.
I almost think, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I would just say the thing that came up for me is this question is like, the prompt is what it is like personal relevance.
Yeah.
And so how are they communicating the relevance of the project to themselves? To
Like
themselves
really
as a person.
So
It's
that's
more as
really the
what does
It's
it
kind
mean
of the
to
through
you,
line, whatever.
rather
That's the part
than
that
tell
was-
us about yourself, is
Yeah.
the important part.
Okay.
It's the what does this project mean to you? Yep,
That makes sense.
okay?
That's the one thing I was wondering, do we want to just have them tell us about themselves and not grade them on, well, you didn't really do a very good job about telling about yourself. That sort of thing. And where others might, but make it more to the point of what the project means to you.
Yeah.
I think
Because
that's
it's
I think the
nice to
story
know
should be
versus
on what
need
this
to know.
project means.
Yeah.
It's nice to know where that
And we're
they're a
not-
student and,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But really, I think what the.
But we shouldn't
project
grade
is-
them.
I know.
Right, I think the only thing we can really put as an evaluator is, did they answer this thoughtfully or not? Even if it's just what this project means to you, because we can't evaluate if we like what it means to them.
Exactly.
I mean, I think though, what ChatGPT was able to kind of spell out, it's like, are you telling the story well, or are you just rambling about stuff that doesn't,
Right.
have a relevance to the project?
Right.
And, I mean, I definitely, from like the perspective of people as a whole, who they are, what they're doing, what they're creating, like stuff like this is really important to me. I also realize it's not necessarily gonna show their artistic talent.
Yeah.
But that's why this is its own category.
Yeah, we didn't ask for artistic talent, right? Like whether or not you're a kid or you're a graphic designer, doesn't matter.
And if we can look through the maybe like if it's childlike language, but it's still doing the same kind of personal relevance, here's the story, versus like, this person is like a well-trained writer who's a narrative story, like, you know, a storyteller. Then to me, I feel like that filters through some of that, like, also bias of like, are they, I don't know. I think I'm stop talking now. More?
Isn't this hard?
I would put,
Yeah.
I would put thoughtfulness. You know, that's a big term also, but at least you can kind of get an idea, like the person thought about it.
How they came up with what they are gonna present, what's
Yeah,
going on.
or it seems to be coming from them in a heartfelt way.
Jenny, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just curious if we've put this out in multiple languages.
No, but we easily can. Oh, I'm sorry, we put the call out? Yes, in bilingually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just would be worried about bias in an answer from somebody who maybe isn't is English as a second language. So I'd want to be really careful about that piece. Yeah, and then I agree with you. I think it would be really easy to not consider somebody because maybe writing isn't their strength. And we could miss out on some really amazing stuff because maybe someone just isn't a very good writer.
What if we just didn't grade on that?
Right.
What if that
Is
was?
that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is your rubric.
like we could just, so there's 4 of these, right?
I made 4 because when I looked at the call for participants, which I should have, but I can open it up for you. You know, these are the questions that we asked. We asked for visual, and then I took a stab at just like kind of a big, all the things together as a package.
Is there any rubric that talks about the 5 design?
That's the second question, is we asked them, how will you approach designing a new Longmont flag incorporating community feedback and the 5 principles of design?
That's probably one of the most important.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was.
So I think since we haven't gone beyond that first question, yeah, that seems to be,
Or could we
Yeah.
break this one up into 2, get rid of the first one as a rubric?
Yeah, you do whatever this group, we wanna break this up into how will you approach designing a new flag incorporating community
That'd be one
feedback?
question.
How will you approach designing a new Longmont flag incorporating the 5 principles of
That's the
design?
second question.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that one.
I'm
Okay.
gonna throw out the first one.
Yeah, I
And
would
just
throw-
have that
The
information.
The first
there.
one could be like,
It's too subjective.
I wouldn't grade anybody on
Yeah.
that.
And I in fact think that before this rubric is something that this group decides on, I will take this feedback, I'm gonna turn it in tomorrow, I'm gonna turn it into a new, and I'm gonna send it out to you and give you time over the weekend or what, you know, just if a majority of you can comment and say, yep, that looks good based upon this conversation here today.
Or any comments we have about.
Yep,
something.
I just wanna make sure that everybody's on the same page before we agree on a rubric. Because that was some of the feedback that came out of the Kimbark mural is, who's creating the rubric? Who's, you know, so we just need to.
Thank you for doing this piece.
Yes.
Yes.
You're welcome, thank you. No, so,
So
okay,
just
so
to
then,
review, so yes, going back to
So make a
the,
second slide and then break it.
so does this criterion then end up just being extracting from that narrative that they give you, just what the project means to you and finding the personal relevance and thoughtfulness in that answer, or do we cut this completely?
I think we cut it completely. It's
Okay.
too subjective.
Raise your hand if
We
you
will
feel we need to
okay,
cut.
wait a second, though.
Okay, hold on.
So here's what my thought is like when we have the call for entry for, you know, historically, they've had we have that little piece, that little square where people kind of talk about this kind of stuff.
Yes.
A little bit. It's like a personal statement, and
Yes.
it's not necessarily, it's not, we don't grade on that. It's just a personal statement, And some of the artists have chose to not even fill that in.
Yep.
But you get a little, you get that flavor of who the artist is, kind of what inspires them, why they might be
Yeah.
interested in this project.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that is still important,
Yes.
but we don't need a rubric
Okay.
to
Great.
grade it.
Exactly.
So then back to
We
Sean's
should see
point.
it, but we're not gonna grade it.
Right, so it will be informing, you would look for conflict of interest, I know that person, you choose to recuse yourself, and then you recognize that, that can create a bias within you of just reading that. You pass that along and you use the rubric. Okay, fine with me,
How
yeah.
are we making sure that these people are local?
There is a question, yet, are you from Longmont, or, and insert the language about native lands, because I can't tell it to you exactly, but I can, yes or no.
Okay.
And they say, nope, I'm from Frederick, Fort Collins. That would be the next question, is a number of people have asked me if specifically wanted to hear from city council themselves. Did you get an email about that? Do you know?
What?
Someone asking if people from outside of Longmont who lived here, grew up here, graduated from here, blah, 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 that if they can be included or not. And they said they wanted to hear from city council themselves, and so I had to ask legal what to do, and legal said, do they not know how to contact city council? And I never heard another thing.
I'll have to look. I've been dealing with a few other things.
Imagine. So I think that goes back to, so I can either extract those applications completely. I can leave them in and it will say, I'm from Frederick, I'm from Oregon and I grew up there. But I don't know what legal would say.
And the call was explicit that only people from Longmont are eligible.
Live
What is called?
The call language says that you currently live here.
Answers the question.
Yeah, I think
So
that's-
from a legal standpoint, you have to,
This opportunity is open to people who currently live in Longmont, as well as members of Native nations whose ancestral homelands include the Longmont area. Okay, do you want me to remove them from review?
Yes, very
Yeah.
clear.
Good question.
Yeah, that was just the only reason I could think of to leave that in, if there wasn't another way of validating.
Yep, nope, there's another way to validate.
Could you
Good
just scroll
question.
through the call?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I just think that
Yeah, no.
without us all reviewing it together, it might.
I should have printed it out.
I like reading it first.
Okay. So there's.
One question.
Anything?
If they live somewhere else, but they have a Longmont address, or they could say some business that they own as their,
I think it comes down to, it's like, where would you get your driver's license or your passport or your mail normally, and that sort of thing, and would you vote in Longmont if you're an adult, that type of thing.
yeah, if you were at the recycling center, could you?
That is the test. Did you get the email and do you use it? Where do you take your branches?
You take your hard to recycle stuff at the recycling place.
If you gave it the
I see
recycling.
You're not getting to recycling.
So they're pretty strict.
I do think that when we get down on the 22nd to our 3, we should pick a couple of backups. Just in case one of those 3 applicants is unable to accomplish what we're talking about in some amount of time. Okay. So yeah, project goals are in the short description, eligibility. Long description gets into a little bit of the guts of how we're doing what we're doing. The requirements are here. So we'll pause here for just a second. Then there was the attachment, also the link to the, I'm missing that. NAVA.org, which is the North American Vexillological Association.
What is that word?
Vexillological.
Fun with flags. people.
Fun with flags.
It's on
Flags.
It's on Jeopardy every once in a while.
Okay.
Vexillological. Okay.
But you would watch the big
Angela, what's your process for community feedback?
So right now, if you were to go to the Longmont, Colorado flag website. Oh, they're there.
Kyle Clark.
I know,
That's my favorite
that
right there.
guy.
I know, I love it. Oh my
I
God.
like the
You
music.
cannot unsee it now, that's the only thing. That's the only thing.
Ruined it.
Cannot unsee it.
So there's the apply as a designer, which will take you to the application, or there's the share your ideas. And if you share your ideas, it takes you to provide suggestions, which then goes into a Qualtrics form that asks you the one question of share your ideas for a new design. And so what will happen is this is collecting information. Our comms team is gonna turn it into a couple of visuals, word cloud, probably, pie chart, just a number of ways. We also were at 4th of July, talked to about, 50? Randy, thank you for coming. We had kids drawing all over our big board, leaving lots of different quips about what they think would be important. Probably got a number of people who actually applied as a designer. So those are the ways that we're getting to people to provide the feedback.
What happened to the big pieces of paper?
They're rolled up in our office and we took pictures of them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they look good. I actually have them on my phone.
Are we doing the postcards still?
Postcards is going to be for the community pool for the final designs.
That's right.
So all of that information will be given to the final.
That's our aspiration.
Yes. So all of this will be, here is the community feedback and the community symbols and sentiment that needs to be expressed on this new design.
Wait, that just goes to the person that we choose?
The 3 people.
The 3 people, so it's not
No.
for everybody as they're creating? Okay.
Right.
The interesting part's going to see if people are submitting potential designs.
They are.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And then the fact that that can't be what you submit.
Correct.
To the final. Yeah.
Reasons to be disqualified,
So random.
no crack pipes.
Yeah. I thought, so we don't do.
Just to be clear,
Does that take our current flag out of the running?
Yep.
nope, because that is not referencing.
Political. Aren't all flags?
Let me tell you. Oh, sorry, I'm getting too deep here.
Oh, yeah.
We love you.
But what is political imagery? I don't know, refer to NAVA, they're the smart kids about it. Who can apply? Here's our timeline, and then eligibility criteria again.
Did you say that the writer of the book about flags was gonna come?
I'm hoping, so I sent him an email and I talked to our person in Boulder who said that he will be very excited about how we are going about this versus how they went about it.
I wish just for the fun of it, we could get the manager of the guy from, that plays Sheldon Cooper. That would be funny if he would show up. That would make this, that would be one of the coolest things.
Yeah, it would be.
Do that.
You have the power, do it.
Why not just reach out, I'll reach out to him.
I'm sure.
Please do.
Very inexpensive.
No, I mean, he would just because that's a thing for him.
It is, it's
Yeah.
such a problem.
Why not?
And it's a promo that he come in and just be that. He's got the 2 shows.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're saying he would do that out of the goodness of his heart, not that
Oh,
like
we
we're
just
gonna
put, we
face-
just, he could try, he would be the first celebrity to stay at the hotel.
If you can swing that, I'll buy him ice cream.
I've talked to my source.
Okay, so.
Maybe back to the rubric?
We were at the rubric, and the rubric is at, okay, so we are we're on, are we keeping personal relevance or are we ridding personal
We're taking
relevance? I think,
I think we did.
okay, can we just get a show of hands that we're ridding ourselves of this in the rubric? That's nearly unanimous, okay? Okay. All right.
But I just want to clarify that we're getting that information, we're just
You will
not.
receive it,
But
you're
we're
not,
not
you're
storing.
not
Okay,
storing, and you are
Okay,
very thoughtfully making sure that it is not influencing your decision.
all righty, okay.
May the force be with you. All right, and then we are taking, how will we approach the design and the new Longmont flag? And we're splitting this in two.
Yes.
Okay. Then the third question I have, or rather criterion, how inspiring does the submission's visual examples, considering design, style, color, composition, technique, scale, creativity, these are not professional artists, but they chose what you are looking at.
Right?
They had to show something. How successful is that as a visual composition? Is it interesting? Why would they have given that to you? Right? And then, those ideas kind of resonate with you for granting that application an opportunity to take community feedback and create a new design for representing the community?
What a question.
I don't know. I'm trying. I know. Says the
Go for
library.
it, Jenny. Let's
Oh, okay.
I'm
Go for it.
not, I don't know anything about legal anything, and I feel like the wording, does it resonate with you? Kind of makes the rubric itself
Yes.
like.
Personal. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because what that's asking is, what is your opinion,
Yeah.
rather than what are the objective qualities?
Okay, there has to be, in my opinion and experience, there has to be some kind of question like, do you like it? There has to be, do we like it? Do I personally like it?
The hard part is what we're seeing is not the flag.
Yeah.
Not.
So do you like that water bottle? Well,
Do you
I don't know. Where I'm starting to get a little bit of direction, maybe, is in the highly inspiring. It pulls a few things out it to look for. It talks about style, color, composition, scale, technique. Maybe we start pulling some of those things.
Just
like-
the elements
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
visual
of
art.
design.
Like objectively.
Objectively, how
Yeah.
successful are the elements of visual art?
And maybe,
Yeah, I like that. Or,
Translate to a flag.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, that's what I was just,
Okay.
yeah.
And it's not
And
so
how
much-
transferable is that to, yeah, a potential
Okay.
It's almost
flag
like, okay, did
design.
anybody watch the first episode of Project Runway? That just dropped. Okay, there were some of the designs were so outrageous, but the judges said, this is so outrageous. There was one that, like, this poor model was dressed like in a marshmallow that was like huge. But they said, well, there's something creative going on here. Let's see what else this person can do. And that's kind of the question we have to ask is like, well, does what we see here make us want to see more of what this artist can do?
Do you like what they're getting at?
elements.
Yeah, kind of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the marshmallow. I'm not sure what the marshmallow was getting at.
That takes out the bias about other language.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good, Jenny.
Michelle.
I've cleared, no, but I mean,
Oh, yeah.
originally, the
Both of you two.
Yes.
Very good.
elements of,
You do have to judge a vision.
you do have to judge a vision. We
It's a
did,
package.
Right.
we did not, and probably, first hindsight, if we're not learning, we're not living, probably should have said to the applicants, when you are selecting your visual examples, make sure you have considered elements of visual, you know?
Yeah.
Now,
That might be implied.
it is not too late, but I would have to reach back out to all of the applicants and give them the opportunity to open their application again to make a different decision, or it's implied.
I'll just go with implied.
I think it's gonna be too much work for you.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
But I also think having this question, like, does it resonate with us? Doesn't even give them that opportunity, right? Because of what we may like or not. So, I don't know that it would be necessary to go back out and.
Okay.
I think you can say
It's more based on
implicit
what
because they
coverage.
are, after all, answering a call for art.
Right, exactly.
It is a call for art.
It is a
Call
call
for art, good point.
And the art is visual art.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
What's
there's a
implied?
stable ground there.
I'm gonna put just a quick pin in it and say, I'm gonna pass around. So this is the exercise that, it was based upon what the Museum of Boulder did, and then I created a exercise for kids. They were 8 to 10 years old, that taught them about we talked about the principles of flag design, and then we went through an exercise of them brainstorming ideas of what's important, and then they each did, some flag designs themselves. Here's my thank you card.
You gotta see
So-
it. So cute. It's
and-
so cute, the little flags they drew. Oh, so cute.
So while all of the information that I presented to kiddos in an 8 to 10-year-old camp is in those, all of the information that we're talking about is in the call for participation, right?
Right.
There's me,
Oh,
there's kids. We talked about the Colorado flag, and they did some color pencil, designs. We did some, because the World Cup's going on, obviously. They've seen a lot of flags recently, so they're super jazzed about flags. And then they came up with flags. Then they cut out of cardboard or of construction paper, because we talked about how a good flag design can be seen from far, far away or up close. And then they presented their flags and all of their meanings. And there are all their flags.
Wow.
Aren't they great? And I feel very, very confident that some of these kiddos are working with their families and their friends, and they are participating.
That's awesome.
So when all of that said, when we're talking about the rubric, yes, did the kids and I go through this exercise together? Yes, we did. But everything that's in there is available to any human who would be applying for this art project. So going back to this transferable, the elements of the visual design as presented in the visual submissions could be transferable, and granting them an opportunity for a new design and make it more objective. Does that sound like? Okay,
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, that's good.
great.
And I always like when you give us the qualities to consider, like the design, style, color, composition. Yeah. Okay. Great.
Whew, so it's close, but missed the mark. All right, and then, do we then need to have a third one wherein it's just, looking at the holistic bits? Or do we just do 1, 2, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this just goes away.
This one, I think, we're gonna discuss this at the selection.
Okay, so this just goes away.
How many?
So, because this is gonna be split into 2,
Right.
so it's gonna be asking that,
2.
and so there's, oh no, and this is going away as well.
Yes, that's 3.
You
So,
were excited
go
to do
with
20 though.
No, we only have 3.
You seem very like, we need to do 20 points. Okay, sorry.
There's, no, you're awesome, like you read me like.
You just can't, that would just be if you did 15. You just have- you
It will be, now it'll be 15, and your scale is still gonna be 1 to 20, but you can only give 15 points.
3 at this point.
Because I can't change cafe to only have 15.
That's okay.
Let's score 15.
Oh, it always has to be 20?
Or it's yes, no, maybe, 1 to 7, or 1 to 20. Those are your options.
So,
Okay.
we're
Whatever.
starting.
It still is okay.
Okay, so,
Don't show us that one, we're not.
okay, so 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, and each of them up to 5 points. Okay?
Oh, so you won't hit 20, but you can do 3 through 15.
Yeah.
15 will be the highest.
And if you do a 16 or a 20, you're getting a phone call. All right, so that's
No, I
all.
know, I'm just making sure that that's enough.
No. Thank you for entertaining me on that one, and I will get this to you as soon as possible. The call itself closes on the 20th. I'm probably gonna have to do some review, but now knowing that anybody from out of town is getting put to the side, and you very well may have 2 or more that come to you as a PDF, and you are just going to have to let me know what your score is. But you'll be receiving the rubric for review. You'll also be receiving a scorecard in sheets, a PDF or Excel, all 3. And yeah, all of this stuff in a PDF. Good?
Does anybody have anything else they want to say or ask about?
Do we have how many folks have applied so far?
32.
Whoa.
Wow.
And of the 32, 4 are going to be not eligible.
So how are we sending a letter to them by the, a little bit of a like, hey, we really love that you're from Longmont, and that you grew up here and all that, and we're very sorry that we're keeping it just.
Whoever's been in the newspaper, please, in the last 3 months. Guess what, guys?
Just blame it on city council.
No.
That's what I do.
I think it just goes back to that policy and procedure bit. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to make decisions, and these are hard decisions to make.
And you made a decision to leave Longmont.
And that's why Eric is
No, it's right there.
I think we get in trouble if we include them, because the call says correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I just need to
Yeah.
call some language around. The call is very clear.
Yeah, it was
And this is what was decided by city council.
Right. But it does also beg the question of some of those things we've talked about is when we are putting these calls together, like what does that community input, like what are the parameters of that amount of community input before we enter into projects? Because has typically been why this body exists in the first
Well,
place.
the mural is a prime example. We should be able to learn from that kind of where there's was some sort of sense of, I don't know that it was really true, where people were like, what was the criteria there? And we just need to really make sure it's solid.
I would be very interested if a lot of, who decides to participate in this, right? Because if we're talking about visual and identity and who you are and hyper-local, like this is it. So I hope that a lot of those people decide to participate in this, but.
Well, seeing what the kids created is pretty impressive.
Very
Yeah, we're gonna have some really neat stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
Yep. Okay, cool. All right.
Okay.
Moving right
Fabulous
along.
job. Thank you, Angela, and everyone.
I think, Angela, just to summarize what I think what you just said, which is important, I think to guide where we go, is like we're establishing some kind of benchmark that if the project is big enough, if it's prominent enough or like important community relevant in a community, like a relevant way to the community, then we do need to make sure we expand the time for community feedback before gathering artists and making a call, like all of that.
Yeah, and in fact needs to be a revisiting, I would even say, of our process. Yeah. Has to
More
happen.
inclusivity.
Yeah.
It just expresses the fact that people are so political in today's world about, even things that we don't think are typically political.
And they're passionate and they love their community. Like, I would love to hear a community who's like, ooh, our people, we're sad because they don't love us, they don't love where they live enough. Like, this is not a bad problem.
No, it's
We
not.
want diversity in our community. artists and engineers to.
Yep, and just, and it also demonstrates the value of art. So, hey, if other people can be screaming it louder than we can, all the better. Okey doke.
Okay, next item number 8, officer appointments. Equally important, but should not take quite as long.
Hopefully not. So, we have 4 positions and we have 4 people interested, 1 for each. I didn't hear from anyone else on interest in any of these. There's only one person that emailed me, but if you would like to be considered for any seat on that team, raise your hand now or forever hold your peace.
Or at least till next year.
Okay,
I'll wait here.
so we can either do this, I was going to make you do a paper ballot, or I can just say that,
By acclamation, but.
yeah, Eve and Jen talked about switching, so Eve's gonna take chair, or Eve is interested in chair, Jen is interested in vice chair, Scott was interested in keeping on as secretary, and Rhonda stepped in and said that she was interested in taking on treasurer. Do we feel comfortable as a team of just raising our hands to vote and making, we need a motion for each, in fact?
We do. Okay. Okay.
We don't need to give our campaign speeches.
Yes, okay.
Just when we thought it was gonna be fast.
I know, I had a speech.
Should we just start at the top?
You can say,
Does
No,
somebody
I-
else have to?
no, or you can give a campaign slogan if you want.
Oh.
You have-
I need a rubric for my campaign.
I was gonna say, it's a republic if we can keep it.
Ah.
Okay,
Okay, do we have a motion to elect Eve as the chair for the next year? It is a year's term, right?
it is a year term, yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I make a motion to appoint Eve as the chair.
Thank you, Joyce.
I second.
Thank you.
Now we vote on,
Yes,
yeah, we
please.
vote on each one, right? Okay, all in favor?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 0,
Okay,
0.
all right. Do we have a motion for Jennifer to go to vice chair? That's me.
I make a motion for Jennifer to go to vice chair.
I second.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0, 0.
All right, do we have a motion to allow Scott to continue on as secretary?
I'll motion to allow. Permit Scott to continue on.
I can allow it.
I'm gonna fix that in a minute to make sure it is.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
And someone seconded it?
Yes, three seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, we're
Any
so.
nays?
No.
No.
Any
Oh,
abstentions?
do we have all 9?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
You didn't vote for yourself, sir.
I don't know, we have to abstain
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, no, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
Are you a yay or an abstention?
Boy, that's touchy.
He's voting for himself.
If you can't,
Okay.
then just do.
All right, and we're so grateful to welcome and receive Rhonda as our new treasurer.
Maybe.
That's not final yet.
We'll see. After we vote on it.
I make a motion for Rhonda to become treasurer.
We received.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, all in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're here all getting the kitchen sink on when it comes to an administrator's report, but it's okay.
Report. Oh my God, it is the kitchen.
Yeah.
No, well, I didn't write a report, so I got work to do.
This is the funnest board ever.
It is the funnest board ever.
All right, let's go
Everyone
back
likes each other for one thing.
and see.
And our community together.
Let's see. We have had some graffiti on those Arcos recently. I cleaned up quite a bit, so we're just gonna keep an eye on that, and then we have the landscaping guy, his name is Taylor, so he's been letting me know quite a bit. Nikki Pike's Art on the Move piece is at the library now. I don't remember if that was in since the last time. But also with Art on the Move, Britt has completed the online tour, and so that's all done. The brochure is underway, and we're getting really close. So that's looking great. By the time we're here next, those will be printed. We're gonna print a lot, because it was the same price to print a lot as print a little. So we're gonna print a lot, which hopefully will be good for the Sundance folks that hopefully will be coming to town. Visit Longmont says that they go through a ton of maps, and she's super excited about that. And then we went through a web update recently that was very interesting process. But if you have time to go onto our website and see if something's missing, I would be happy to hear that kind of stuff. I've been meeting with leadership about a lot related to the First and Main Transit Station. So in the next couple of bits and years, you'll probably be hearing things about that. Safety and Justice is almost complete, and I'm working with the facilities people on determining how deep those pads are going to be. But if you, I don't have it anywhere handy, about where Uptown was in a bed, there's gonna be some stair steps that go from the front door to the east where a parking lot is going to be, and that's gonna be available for public art. I understand that they may have a bronze donation that might come in through this body as well, so that's interesting. Shock art contracts, we're almost done. We finished 9 of 10 today. So we have 1 just outstanding, which is great. Everybody's been through training though, so we are rocking and rolling on that front.
Will council, since you wanted council also to, did you want all council to evaluate?
Flags?
Yeah.
I don't think, did they say they all want it?
No, I
They
thought
can.
you said, no, that's fine. Okay, that's fine.
You're the captain. If someone is
You're the dude.
sweaters in the deal, man. If there's somebody though that is very passionate, there's no reason why not.
Let's not go down that path.
You said, okay, so that is all very good.
Locations for the shock art fest.
Yeah, those are done.
Okay.
Based upon what you all had said. We did make a couple of changes. We have 4 newbies.
Police, yeah.
So we moved a couple of them to take some of the new people off of highways. Just because I think that it's, since it's their first rodeo.
It's like the one at Walmart.
Yeah, we put some of the more experienced, put more experienced artists out at that.
That makes total.
Vision 0, y'all.
Yeah.
We have any artists.
Did they come out with a list of where each one's?
We have a list.
We have a
I'm
list.
happy to send it.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, I'd like to see
I'll
it too.
Sorry. Yeah.
We have
Just send
a,
it to all of us.
Yes.
do we have them?
Well, we have it on that PowerPoint that we saved, right?
Oh yeah, hold on just a
Yeah,
second.
that'll be easy.
I'm gonna go real fast though, I promise.
This is the latest.
Right?
Okay, this one.
Is it this one,
down.
locations?
No, down.
This one?
That one is the last.
Yeah, okay. So, Mr. Fukuda is going here, he's new.
Oh, wait, go back, what was that?
Is that the old same?
That's John Fukuda.
No, I'm looking at the location.
Oh, 1698 Deerwood.
Yeah, it's
Um,
Safeway gas.
There's Pace and Deerwood.
Nice.
Oh, right, okay.
That's the prickly one.
Yeah, it is the prickly one.
That's
Yeah.
the prickly one.
You should tell him to wear jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a serious prickly one.
This one is a new artist team, and they've got this one that's next to that one, yeah.
Those bushes will be cut, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
This is an experienced artist, and that is not the box, it's over here.
That's the Walmart, no one near Walmart, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's-
It's right across from the hospital. Yeah, it's Walmart.
That's a perfect location.
Yeah, because as you're driving in, like all of that will resonate really
Oh,
well.
that's UC Health, though,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
pine trees, under pine trees, they're on Hover and Wedgewood, so North
Yeah,
Hover.
right.
This is a new artist, so they're getting this nice,
Yeah.
easier
It's like so
location.
shaded and nice and no
I think we
traffic.
should just keep the box. It looks so lovely there with
Right?
People will be so happy.
I agree.
And then Travis's Peaches out kind of on the county road.
Yeah, that's a perfect
Where the old
place
farm
for it.
place is.
Yeah.
Blue is-
Mhm.
Oh, it's on County Road what? Oh,
Yep, it's on the county road.
okay.
Yeah.
And then Aspens
Oh.
underneath, like kind of, that'll be fun.
That's a nice mix.
She was so cute. We were talking about materials, and well, I was like, there can be no glitter, there can be no gold leaf, and she's like, really, it's tissue paper. I was like, there can't be any tissue paper. So, but she brought her assistants, and it's her first rodeo, but she's very excited. But yeah, the materials conversation. She's already visited it. This artist team, they are new, and this is going to be a challenge for them. So
That's on one night.
it is on 119.
Oh, yeah, the
So
climbing
it's
trail.
coming, yeah. it's
Yeah.
right by
But
But
this road is not very well
That's
traveled.
a perfect location for that.
Yeah, as you come into town.
Yeah, it just.
Yeah,
has
and that's far enough away from the traffic
Yeah.
that they're not gonna be impacted. That'd be,
Is
that's
that like a partial sidewalk?
20th.
This is a partial sidewalk, yeah.
But what about the other things up? Yeah,
This.
there. Is that sidewalk?
That's just a pad
Oh, okay.
of some sort.
Yeah, but LPC will take nice good care of the
They're trimming tomorrow.
landscaping.
Yeah.
They're going tomorrow.
They're going tomorrow.
And then Dustin, his bug is gonna go next to the Van Gogh version of that.
Where is this? Wait.
That's near Taco Bell at the Martin Roundabout. Yeah, and he's experienced, so he'll be able to
Oh,
handle
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking.
And then this is a new artist, and she'll be off of Hover near the dentist office, so kind of.
He
Oh.
was supposed to start, so.
That's
I don't
right
know
near
if
my
we
house.
enjoyed that one.
So that's, okay, so then, is that 17th then?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
17th and Hover.
It's a little.
No,
like, oh, no,
like
south,
just
south.
a little bit south.
Oh, okay, I know where it is.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
not
yeah,
here.
It's right
yeah,
in that.
you turn there and you
It's
get
in
the.
Hover Meadows,
Hover.
Hover State area, right there.
So she'll be able to park in this parking lot and then just wagon over. So hopefully that won't be too
The
challenging.
dentist.
Right.
Yeah, so we have, I mean, my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4,
A lot of new.
5,
Six.
about half.
Six.
No, 6, because John, yeah, 6 of 10 are new.
Great.
Yeah,
Love it.
and the vast majority are from Longmont. One's from Niwot, question mark, Longmont, doesn't know their address. And another one is from Boulder.
9.5 or something.
Right, 9.5 from Longmont. So pretty good numbers there.
Cool.
Okay, keep on going. Timu. The donation from that family has not been a priority for Angela. I did reach out to 3 people from Parks Department to ask them to help us try and narrow down on some spaces for that piece. And they too are like, don't really know, don't really understand. So I think the task force and we're just gonna have to go pound some pavement, maybe Golden Ponds, and just think about some places for these things and then go back to parks. So I haven't made great strides with that, but that's where we're gonna have to start.
If we don't have,
No, go ahead.
tiny thing, but
No, anything.
if we don't have any big piece in that Hover Meadows Park,
Over acres. over acres? Acres.
Well, anyway, that plant is heavily used. I walk down there a fair amount, and it's got a very busy pickleball court and a lot of people around there.
Okay,
So that might be a place.
we can add it to the list.
And also, if it's, well, we don't know. if it's
Well, usually in the
referencing, but it is in the middle of elder community.
It is.
That's where you catch projects. That's the
Yes,
project
yes.
fishing time.
Yes, the kids are busy on the crawdads over there. In fact, I was on one of the bridges and someone said, look, there's crabs in the creek.
Yeah, so
Is that pretty much
from
bait then?
from Clover and Mountain View, you go
Yeah.
west. And it's funny because the ditch goes through, but the way that you get to the park is either from Mountain View, from the neighborhood, there's a tiny parking lot.
That's where the pickleball.
And then this is a senior apartments.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nestled back there.
There's a gray box there too.
There's a gray box there.
Yeah, the frog box.
The frog box is
Yeah,
there.
it's right there on that corner.
And it's a great walking
But
path.
that,
Yeah.
I mean, it is more heavily used than you'd think.
Okay, so we'll add that to the list. But,
Soccer practice, it's great soccer practice.
Okay.
Okay.
Soccer practice.
So when things chillax just a little bit, that's one of the things I've got to get back with that task force on. The Lynn project. So Sunbelt is moving along. The contractor that is an engineer that I needed to create a work scope with was not under citywide award. But we have a new citywide award for architecture and engineering services. So we have a full engineering citywide award. So I've contacted them next Thursday at 2. We're all getting together, but hopefully the engineering people will be able to put together the scope to work directly with Mr. Lynn. LPC is going to help us plug into the light pole there, and it doesn't sound like that's going to be a problem. And then the amendment is the big thing that is illegal. So it's moving forward, not super fast, but it's moving forward. Feel good about that. I'm just cruising. If anybody has questions, please stop me. Statue of Liberty, we got a call from the police about the label plaque that popped off, but was recovered. Britt went and put a temporary one up there, and then we got notes about how the temporary one is awful and they don't like it. So I assured them that it's temporary.
It's better than the gaping rusty hole, though.
It is a gaping and rusty hole. We got a phone call from the police, and then as soon as we put a temporary one back up, we got a phone call from a resident who was very upset.
A community feedback.
Yes, but the gaping rusty hole, the Parks Department put me in touch with somebody who can do the concrete work to fix it.
Okay.
But I think we just put the brass one back, and then we'll just also include the more permanent art labels, like ancillary, next to it, in a way.
So it has to be like sealed in there so they can't get it out, is that the deal?
I don't know how they broke that thing off.
They must have put some effort into it.
I think it was like a crowbar.
Crowbar.
Yeah.
Oh my
But they didn't take it because it got turned in.
Yeah, that's odd.
Or they took it and they got it valued and they were like, oh, wait, I can't melt this down and it doesn't won't give me anything. And then they put it back.
Yeah.
That might have
Brought it home.
could have been. So we're gonna put it back.
Mom found it in the garage.
Pretty much, right? But we're gonna put it back, but that's gonna cost us a bit to figure out who's gonna do the concrete work to fix it, because that is definitely out of our wheelhouse. Yeah. And then other than that, I would say it's just gonna be focusing on getting the information out about next Friday. I will be out of town come the 28th and back early August, so I'll send everybody a note. And Britt and Eric will be here if you have any questions. I think that's it. We did some more concrete stamping over at Nino Gallo. Okay.
Nice. What
I know.
images did you stand?
Oh, a beaver. Busy, it's called Busy. And it's the beaver feet and it's the little sticks.
Thanks.
Where did you do that at?
At Nino Gallo, which is the park to the south of the museum.
Okay.
It has been since I arrived in 2019. It's been under construction or in some phase of design construction.
It's part of 8 parks in 5 years.
Okay.
And there is a pad
Silos too.
The silos are supposed to be made into something.
into bathrooms, but then that never happened. And then somebody retired, and so then it was like floating project for, but there is a pad for public art, but the integration just didn't work because it's 5 years. It's been going on for a while, so, but it's gonna be done, so that's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
Wow.
So 4:30 on this Friday.
This Friday.
Where do you want to meet?
Out in front of the Civic Center, or the Civic Center Plaza Library
Okay.
area,
Yeah, okay.
under the
And
arch.
If you need me to pick stuff up or
Yeah.
anything, let me know.
This Friday being not.
Not tomorrow.
Exactly, I was just saying that.
I'll be
Waiting for
Friday.
tomorrow.
I was just, yeah, I was gonna clarify that.
Right.
We'll go down there if you want.
All right. And with that, that's my report. 7 minutes to go.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioners, do you have any comments or announcements? Anything anyone wants to bring up?
Oh, I did have one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Question.
Okay, you first.
The sundial, that's not ours, is it?
It's not,
Whose is it?
I think it belongs to Parks, but if we want it to be ours, and if that would make sense, is it broken?
Well, there's a plaque that's missing,
Oh,
that's right in front of it.
okay.
I don't know what it's at, but, no.
Somebody might have been on a escapade.
Yeah, like, it's the white cat fun, that is, it moves across to measure.
Oh, is that what it
Yeah,
was?
it's actually, that it shows how
It's
the
the
sundial
instructions?
works.
Oh, that would be nice.
I can ask Parks about it, because that's how we ended up with, the fishermen at Golden Ponds, was it was donated maybe
But
before.
Do we want another piece of art?
That means you maintain it in perpetuity.
Mm.
It's bronze, unless they stole it, like they probably stole that plaque the same time they stole the.
That's what we were just saying,
It's the
yeah.
same thing.
Do you want me just to investigate who it belongs to?
Sure.
Because if their plaque is missing, they might not even know it's missing, and it's their
Right.
responsibility to replace it.
Yeah,
And is it art? We need to go on for days.
yeah.
Ask Parks.
What happened with the Statue of Liberty?
Statue of Liberty has been ours. It
It
was
is
here in 1952, but it was formally assigned to the program.
Okay.
And so was the bronze, that's in Golden Ponds. Technically ended up being a part of the Parks Department, but it was donated before there was an AIPP.
Oh.
And then AIPP accessioned the piece.
No, actually, they acquired it against AIPP's recommendation.
Well, that's not in the collection file.
At least that's my understanding of what happened.
Wait, before
More.
Parks accepted it, and we ended up with it.
So that's excellent that we have a precedent as regards to bronze, that certain buildings that are giant and have certain bronzes that they are excited about, that are full-size dogs,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mm.
Yep, okay, well, it's part of the code that
Oh,
needs
hey,
to
I got
come
a
through
question for
AIPP.
you.
What's that?
I'm driving down 17. I look to the north as I'm going towards Main Street, and now somebody has a huge elephant.
Yeah, no, it's so cool, but
What?
it's Boulder County. It's
Is
a Boulder County house.
is it now?
Yep.
Okay.
It covers the sprinkler coverage because they all have irrigation there. So that's all, that pocket is all Boulder County.
Uh-huh.
And it covers the irrigation. Yeah,
Wait, now where is this again? 17th?
It was 17th going north from Hover to Main Street.
No, 17.
Just
I mean,
past
heading
Main
Street
Street.
going west, east, and on the north side of the street. is
17th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where?
17th,
There's Francis.
headed west.
So you had, or you could head east
Main
if you wanted to.
Oh,
yeah.
on the
It's on the
east
left
side
side.
of 17th.
Left
Okay.
side, yeah.
It's
Your
already
irrigation
there.
You're on
irrigation
17
thing. Is it
going
like
east.
a blow up thing?
It's on the
No,
north
it's a
side.
construction, it's
Oh.
a big, I walked past it the other day, I hadn't been there.
So to simplify that,
Okay.
you're driving down 17th
I
to
get
Main,
it,
and you
like
want
a
left.
hardware store there.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute, hold on, how else can we say? Hey.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Okay, all right. Any commissioners, any other announcements or anything going on that you want to let us know about?
Oh, yeah, I did have one more thing. So, no, but for real. No, Eric and I did our halfway through the year report, and everything that's on our priorities is addressed.
Mhm.
Everything in our mid was addressed or fell off because of flags, and same with low priorities. So we're way more than halfway in addressing everything on our work plan for this year.
Oh, wow.
All things considered, yes,
We
so
are so
we're,
good.
but the things that are outstanding are not small things.
Right.
We've gotta keep it fun.
No. it's
Okay.
good. Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn
Okay.
Thank you.
at 7:59.
Do we have a vote?
All right, all in favor?
It's unanimous.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. If anybody wants to walk across the way,